Hey guys, GHAZZY TV here with another 3.25 Path of Exile video, and let's talk about some melee stuff and some absolutely insane mechanics that you can I just completely abuse. Not sure how well thought of this part is. Normally I don't do melee builds that often, but one thing that stood out a lot, spoke to my right-hand man with my written guys, Atros, and he brought this to my front door, and I said, you know what? We're gonna talk about this, okay? It is insane. A little bit of mathematics coming into this stream, or this video rather. But do make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe for more content if you do find yourself enjoying this video. So let's crack into it and let's talk some numbers. Essentially, the first thing we're gonna talk about is this little starting approach when you're playing a duelist. I have bum rushed through the life nodes down to versatile combat or combatant, which gives you -10 max block for attacks and spells, but gives you 2% chance to block spells for each 1% overcap chance to block attack. They've also taken Testudo for a little bit more block and life recovery, and the Mastery that gives us % chance to block attack damage per 5% chance to block on shield. Then we've also picked up the deflection node on the right-hand side for more attack block. That's it. These are 22 points from the starting, and we've picked up 2 ascendancy nodes. Now, if I were to tell you that this specific setup is not giving you 65 block, as you can see here on the left-hand side, but in reality, this is 87% chance to block spells and 87% chance to block attacks. It's pretty crazy, considering how little investment this is. Let me explain. The first one is Determined Survivor. This makes it so whatever shield you have, it will just completely ignore whatever the shield's block value is and say that it is now 50%. The next one is More Than Skill. Chance to block attack or spell is lucky if you've blocked recently. That means that as soon as you've blocked within the past 4 seconds, you're now going to have 87% chance to block, which is quite insane. Now, what you could do is also put yourself, obviously don't do this kind of pathing. This is terrible. This is to show you what you can do with block. So if this node or this specific build is using Tempest Shield, it is using a random shield with Rainbow Strike for block spells and an Anvil, and going all the way up to to Serenity, Safeguard, and also picking up the entire cluster of Wall of Steel with the block per 5% block for spells, and the Mastery here. You can even ramp this up higher if you want to put even more % chance to block. So why is this so crazy? So mathematically, what happens on the 78 is that once you've blocked, you have a 0.22% chance to get hit. Multiply by 0.22, and you take 1 minus this, and you'll have, with this setup, a 90... This is just so crazy. You have a 95% chance to not take any damage from neither hits from attacks or spells. And if you were to put in 80-80 on the block instead, the math would check out to be 96% chance. I mean, it's just absolutely insane, and I don't understand how this is going to be acceptable. So let me explain how this works. Essentially, the biggest difference, before we talk about how lucky works, this is all based around the idea that evasion works with a system called entropy. So it is pseudo-random. Now, unlike evasion, the way block works is that it is entirely random. You take a hit from an enemy, and there will be a % chance that you will block that. This % chance will not change or anything like that. It's just that if you take a hit, there's a 65% in this specific setup. No items. Well, actually, a random shield with literally no block mods. This is being bypassed by Determined Survivor. So no gear, no skills, nothing. Just these 22 points in the skill tree and 2 ascendancies. In the Gladiator, there will be a 65% chance that you will not take any damage from either spells or attacks when a hit lands on you. That means there's a 35% chance that you do take a hit. And once you have blocked, in the next 4 seconds, and any 4 seconds after you've made any sort of block, you will have lucky blocks. And the way lucky blocks works is that you are going to be rolling this twice. So the way you calculate this is very simple. So in this example, there's a 0.35% chance that you actually do get hit. You multiply this 2 times, and you take the 1 being 100% minus this putting you at 87% chance to not be hit at all, which is absolutely crazy. And the other version, if you start investing a little bit more, you're going to be sitting at 94, 95, even 96%, or even higher chance of just never being hit. All it takes is for one attack to be blocked beforehand. So why is this so crazy? Now, obviously, like I mentioned, we could do heavier investments. It's mostly for the spell block and just go absolutely crazy without a versatile combatant. But I'm going to focus on what I think is the crazy overpowered part of this, and that is when you barely invest into anything, and that's what versatile combatant is providing you. Essentially, you want to make the build be able to survive taking hits in case you do get hit. Once you've blocked one attack, the next 4 seconds, you are borderline never going to take damage. 87% chance to never take a damage hit is insane. And every time you take a hit, there's an 87% chance that you block it, extending that time frame of where you just don't get hit by another 4 seconds. And that will just keep refreshing. So you'll stay within that as long as you're clearing maps. And this allows you to have a very minimal investments into blocking and allow you to focus more on actual life or mitigating modifiers for those small hits or the hits that you're actually going to be taking, even if they're very few. You still need to survive those and then focus the rest of your efforts into damage. Now, obviously, you could put some more effort into scaling up your block chance by not taking Determined Survivor and therefore be able to use this through the Forbidden Flesh or Forbidden Flame Jewels, which is going to be pretty expensive. I would assume that this specific notable will be giga, and I mean giga expensive in the 3.25 league, because now you can play Slayer or Jug and just get this node and reach these insane block values where you basically become unhittable. Now, if you think Evasion was a cool defensive mechanic, the way Invasion works, like I mentioned before, is actually through an entropy system where you are inevitably going to be hit at some point. You're not always going to be evading every attack that comes your way or dodging them. This, however, does not follow any sort of entropy system. So as long as you have this block chance, we can look at builds like Aegis Aurora played, our Akali builds that are just going in and are essentially never, ever, ever dying when you're clearing. Now, obviously, when it comes to Uber bosses, for example, they do big hits that can kill most builds in the game, and having block chance to survive them is a good way to mitigate the entire damage output of them, but there's still a chance that you get hit, and it would be the same for a build like this. However, when you're doing generic map clear and you're speedrunning tier 17s or tier 16s, there's going to be so many enemies that are attacking you that you will block one of them, even if you have 65% chance of blocking the start. And once that first block kicks in, with this small investment, you're on 87%. And then you can have something simple like a life recovery on block from the influence mod, assuming that's not taken away. They said that life on block would be removed, but that seems to be the base mod and not the shaper influence one. So we'll see how that happens. You can even run something like a surrender. A surrender would allow you to get flat life on block as well. So all of these things allows you to get some ridiculously cool defensive layer. You could even do a pseudo immortal flicker strike out of this. I just think this is absolutely crazy, and I wanted to shed some light and bring the attention to this to the community of what you can actually do with versatile combatant with a very small investment in combination with the Gladiator rework, with a Determined Survivor, and a More Than Skill. And also make sure that people are informed of how lucky hit or lucky block in this case actually works. So again, just to give you the numbers one more time, this is a 65-65 block build, and that means you have a 0.35% chance to actually take a damage hit in the first place. And once you've done one block, the calculation would then be 35 or 0.35 multiplied by itself. And then you would take that number and take 1 minus that number, putting you on an 87.75% chance to block attacks and spells. Essentially, more or less never taking any damage because of how this system works. It is insane. There are other crazy things with the new classes. I'm not going to go into this in this league. I will mention, in this video. I will mention that things like Oath of Summer from the Warden actually states that you can inflict an additional Scourge. That means 2 stacking Scourge. That means that this node, for example, on the Warden, allows people to put minus 60% elemental resistances. There's a way for Oath of Winter, for example, to basically create some insane cycles of freezing enemies. Even the Avatar Wilds is allowing you to have this one button press where you get 80% more elemental damage. It's just absolutely nuts with some of these changes that they've done to the Warden and the Gladiator. But speaking of damage, I do want to mention this. One of the Eldritch implicit modifiers for melee was changed, and Rage has been significantly adjusted, right, to give you more damage. Now, there is an Eldritch implicit that I believe will happen to be on gloves where you get Rage on hit. What that means is that every single attacking build in the entire game will want to run that, because that means you get free more damage. And that's something Berserker can utilize very, very effectively with Crave the Slaughter, because this is how you would make the Rage also provide attack speed. So there's some really cool things we can do in the game for 3.25 for melee, but I wanted to shed some light on the block part of how crazy Lucky Block with Versatile Combatant is for the Gladiator. Again, I don't want to prolong and waste your time too much. Hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and as always, till next time, stay safe, keep rocking.